Today, in English grammar, we'll be looking at the topic question tags. The question is, what is a question tag? A question tag consists of a statement added to a verb, usually auxiliary verb, and a pronoun to form a question. What this means is that question tags are usually formed using auxiliary verbs and pronouns. Okay, fine, let's see example. I can do it, can't I? There are two statements in this example. The first statement says, I can do it, while the second statement says what? Can't I? Okay, the first statement, we have the auxiliary verb can and the main verb do. Hence, the question tag is formed from the auxiliary verb and the what? The pronoun. So we have can't I. Okay, the next is rules that govern question tag. There are two general rules that govern question tag. The first rule says that where the auxiliary verbs or where the auxiliary verb in the initial statement is positive, the question tag will be negative. Example, you ought to have washed the plates unto you. Okay, fine. The initial statement here is you ought to have washed the plates. And we have the auxiliary verb here, ought. Hence, we have unto you. Ought is the negative form of the positive auxiliary verb ought and the word and the pronoun here added. So we have unto you as a question tag to the statement you ought to have washed the plates. Another example says, I will see you tomorrow. Won't I? I will see you tomorrow is the initial statement. Won't I is the question tag that is formed from the initial statement. Okay, fine. Won't is a negative form of will, and we have the pronoun I, so we have won't I. Okay, fine. The next general rule of question tag says where the auxiliary verb in the initial statement is negative, the question tag will be positive. Let's see example. Okay, she won't go. Will she? Okay, fine. The initial statement says she won't go. So we have a negative statement here. And the question tag here is positive. Will she? So from the verb what? From the auxiliary verb won't, we have the word, the positive word, auxiliary verb will. Will she? Another example. You mustn't see you. Sorry, he mustn't see you. He mustn't see you. Must he? Must is formed from the negative auxiliary verb mustn't. So we have must he. There are other rules of question tags, but they follow the general rules that says positive, negative, negative, positive. Okay, fine. Let's see rule number 3. Rule number 3 says where there is no auxiliary verb in the initial statement. I remember I said that question tags are usually formed using auxiliary verbs and pronouns. Okay, what then happen in a situation where there is no auxiliary verb in the initial statement? Okay, where there is no auxiliary verb in the initial statement, but a main verb, we use the auxiliary verb doesn't, don't, or didn't together with the pronoun to form the question tag. Okay, fine. We use the auxiliary verb doesn't or don't where the statement is present tense, while we use the auxiliary verb didn't where the statement is past tense. Okay, fine. For doesn't and don't, we use doesn't where the statement has a singular present verb, and we use the auxiliary verb don't where the statement has plural present verb. Okay, fine. Let's see this now. Example. You eat fast, don't you? Eat here is plural present verb. You eat fast, plural present verb. So we have to use don't you. So we have to check if our answer is correct. You don't. Okay, you eat fast, don't you is a question tag. Okay, fine. He likes you, doesn't she? Likes here is singular present, so we use what? Doesn't. Doesn't he? He likes you, doesn't he? Okay. They slept here. Didn't they? Slept is past tense. Past tense, past verb. So we use what? Didn't they? Okay, fine. Rule number 4 says, where in a conversation between two persons and a speaker makes a positive statement, he or she expects a yes as reply. I repeat, where in a conversation between two persons and a speaker makes a positive statement, he or she expects a yes as reply. Let's see example. This is a conversation between Jane and Mary. Jane says, I can have it. I can have it. Can't I? Mary replies by saying, yes, you can. So here is a positive statement. I can have it. Can't I? Yes, you can. Okay. Then the next says, where in a conversation between two persons, that's rule number 5. Where in a conversation between two persons and a speaker makes a negative statement, he or she expects a no as reply. Let's see this. Another conversation between Jane and Mary. You couldn't see her. Couldn't see is actually a negative statement. You couldn't see her. Could you? Mary now replies, no, I couldn't. Rule number 6 says, an imperative statement requires will you as question tag. In other words, a statement involving command requires the question tag will you. Okay, fine. Let's see example. Go away, will you? Okay, number 7, rule number 7 says, a let statement requires shall we. Let statement means let us. So a statement involving let us requires shall we as question tag. Example, let's eat, shall we? Let's eat, shall we? Okay, fine. Rule number 9 says, a used to statement. Okay, fine. Used to means past. Past. Okay, fine. A statement involving used to requires the use of didn't and a pronoun as question tag. I repeat, a statement that makes use of used to requires didn't and a pronoun as question tag. Example, she used to come here regularly. Didn't she? Used to here is past tense. So the question tag didn't, she, didn't for the past and she for the pronoun. Okay, lastly, before we look at special rules and exception, we have a had better statement. A had better statement requires the what? The use of hadn't she. For example, she had better do the work. Hadn't she? Had better here requires the what? The question tag hadn't she. I repeat, a had better statement requires the question tag hadn't and a pronoun which is the subject she. So she had better do the work. Hadn't she? Question tags have special rules and exceptions. Let's see some of these rules and exceptions. Number 1, an I am statement use the tag aren't I. In other words, a statement involving I am use the tag aren't I. Example, I am late, aren't I? Okay, am here is singular positive auxiliary verb. Here we have aren't I, that's the negative auxiliary plural verb. Okay, fine. Aren't I? But if we check it, it's supposed to go like I am, but we have aren't I, so this is an exception. Number 2, negative words such as never, nobody, hardly, scarcely, and seldom, they take positive tag. These are negative words, but they take positive tag. Let's see example. She never calls, does she? Never here is a negative word, so it can be replaced by she doesn't call. So we have what? Does she? So here, never here act as doesn't. So we have does she. 2, they seldom visit. Do they? Seldom here act as what? Don't. They. So they don't visit. Do they? Okay, fine. That's for that. Then number 3, indefinite pronouns such as everybody, everyone, someone, anyone, and anybody require the use of they. That's the pronoun they, and the verb in the initial statement. So let's say example, everybody saw it, didn't they? Everybody saw it, didn't they? Okay, fine. Everybody here, we use the pronoun they. Then saw here is in the past tense, so we use what? Didn't. Then, however, which is an exception, we use the pronoun it for question tag statements that have anything, nothing, and something. So, example, something went wrong. Didn't it? The it here is for something, while the went here is for didn't. The last special rule of question tag says that where there is or there are statement, in other words, statement involving there is or there are, the question tag will be isn't there or aren't there respectively. Let's see example. Remember figure 1. There is a book, because this is the auxiliary verb here. Isn't there? There are some books. This is the auxiliary verb. Aren't there? Okay, fine. You can check my video on the verb, the complete understanding of the verb in English, where I talked a lot about auxiliary verbs.